We are beautifully,
The Beauty Melanated podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Sarah, and I'm here with my co-hosts.
I'm Karen.
And I'm Kay. Welcome to this week's episode. It is part 2 of the soundtrack to our lives. But before that, my new segment, which I have called What in the World, this week is going to be around the planets that are retrograding. So I don't know what kind of week you've had, ladies, but Mercury is in retrograde along with 5 other planets. So my week was a little messy, a little chaotic, hugely busy. Nothing I planned went to plan. And that's the feature of Mercury retrograde. It's just messy and chaotic. So the guidance is until the 2nd of October, do not make any plans, do not sign any contracts. Expect your technology to play up. Relationships might also get a bit tricky in this retrograde period, not just with lovers, but with friends or significant relationships. So, yeah, this week I kind of went into hiding from the retrograde. I went into my cave because I needed to, hide from it. It was much. So what kind of week have you had, ladies? Has the retrograde affected you at all?
I think the retrograde always affects me. I feel like we've been in retrograde mode since the beginning of lockdown, because it feels like. I've noticed a lot of things about kind of machines and things breaking down. I always find that during retrograde. I had an issue with my boiler about a week ago. It was an absolute nightmare. Just before I had a private client. It always has to happen just before I'm about to go online to a client. The boiler will, start dripping profusely. I've just found it. What I've noticed a lot is I think almost every single person I know has had some kind of life crisis, I'd say within the last 3 weeks to a month. I've noticed. Yeah. Normally, obviously, we all have things going up and down, up and down. Our life is like a wave, isn't it? But it's unusual for me to have every single person I know having drama. It's not normally someone's having drama, but someone's all right, then it swaps over. But yeah, I've noticed a lot of that. Literally we're all under it beyond anything I've actually pretty much ever known. And I was thinking, is that just because we're all getting older? I don't know, but it's just so hard right now. Life is so tough.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's. I'm trying to find a silver lining, because there is a silver lining, but everyone is struggling. Every single person, I feel like, on the planet. So yeah,
literally. Karen?
Well, that sounds like my life, to be fair.
It's always in retrograde.
It's always in retrograde for me. But I think I've said this before. For me, happiness and feeling settled is fleeting, right? So, yes, there are times when perhaps more things happen in my life. But I think generally, I am always fighting fires and I'm always trying to balance. So I haven't noticed anything significant, really. And I do think it's age-related, for me anyway. I think when you get to a certain age, I think, I don't know, it just seems as if the things that you wanted to do or your aspirations or things that you had intended, I think the realization is that maybe certain things won't happen. And that's really hard. That's really, really hard. Because I think when you're young, I felt that the world was my oyster. There was nothing I couldn't do or couldn't achieve. It's not that I'm not saying I can't do them, but there are some things that may never come. Does that make sense?
For instance?
So, for instance, when I was younger, I believed I would get married. I believed I would have a husband and I would get married.
You did.
And I did. And I did. I was right. I did do that.
Yeah.
As I get older, it's not as cut and dry. I think, there is a possibility that I may not marry again. And that's not because there's anything wrong with me or, because, like I say, it's not necessarily down to me. I think it's just one of those things that for some women, it just doesn't happen again, right? So, or even, I don't know, just achieving certain things. Life gets in the way, doesn't it? You know, life is tough for a lot of people. And so I'm having to readjust and maybe think about what things are my priorities, what things I can leave, you know. So I guess I'm changing, I'm evolving, I'm growing, and I'm having to just think differently perhaps about my future. So yeah, I actually, ladies, I have to ask you, I don't really know much about Mercury retrograding, I have to say. So Kay, can you enlighten me?
Well, I'm learning. I just had my chart read by an astrologer. In fact, I had my birth chart rectified because I didn't know what time I was born, and no one remembered.
No, I don't know what time either. No idea.
Really?
You need to know, don't you? Yeah, I have no idea.
You need to know to get your proper chart.
Yeah.
So I had the chart rectified, and then I asked him to read the chart because it looked really pretty, but I had no idea what anything meant. But I follow Shani Nicholas on her app, which tells you all about the planets, how they're lining up for you. So the retrograde tends to be when everything changes.
And it's positions, isn't it? Position of the planets. Astronomy,
position of the planets.
But it
happens 3 times a year.
And it's astronomy, though.
It is astronomy.
It's astronomy, the power of it, though, because you know how we're guided by the moon. Women are our menstrual cycles and everything. So it's really, it's definitely not woo-woo.
No, it's quite scientific, actually.
It's science.
See, I'll tell you what, because I actually don't follow astrology, even astrology. That's the word I'm looking for.
Or either, yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. Like sometimes my mum will say, "Oh, I read your horoscope."
Oh, not that in the sun. We're not talking about something in the sun made up by some bot or something. I'm not talking about that, Karen.
It's not the horoscope. But is it related to, when you say that it's astrology, is it not related
to
horoscopes? Is that not what?
Only as much as when you know your sun sign is when you were born. So I'm a Sagittarius sun because I'm born in December. So Sagittarians have that period, right? Right. But then you also have a rising sign and a moon sign. Right. So the horoscopes only give you your sun sign around when you were born. So you can say I'm an Aries, I'm a Libra, I'm a Piscean, whatever. Right. That's all the horoscope gives you. That's just a tiny little bit of
it's a trait. It's the traits of exactly. Like me and Kay, we're both Sagittarius women. Right. Yes. But that's why we can be fire.
The reason why I'm saying that, though, this is what I'm saying. That's still related to what they say, like, you know, if you're a Libra and you're meant to be balanced, or I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't think it's cut and dry, though. I don't think it's cut and dry. But you're a Leo as well. We're all quite strong signs together. And I mean, my mum's a Cancer. She's much more kind of, it's a water sign. It's my daughter. You know, she's what's my daughter? She's a Pisces. You know,
see, this is what I'm saying. See, I have to say, if I'm honest, that's not something I follow. It's not something I get into. Yeah. So that's why I was thinking,
But it's not all that. I'm saying it's not all about what you find in the back of a magazine. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. There's a scientific element to it of the positioning of the planets that's not like I'm a Sagittarius, so I must be fiery character. I guess it's more than that. Kay, you probably know more about it than me. I have not sat down and actually studied a planet alignment like the 4th house, and I haven't studied that.
So the houses I'm only just learning about when I had my chart read, and it's really fascinating just how much impacts your life choices that you made, the future. And it's literally what's happening in the planets when you were born, and that lines you up. So, you know, the sun, the moon, they go around and I'm sounding really but anyway, we move. Yeah. You know, you're in a solar system. So, for instance, I'm a Pisces moon. So that's the other part of when I was born. So it's really complicated. What you get from the houses, Sarah, to be honest, I'm literally writing it down, and I didn't bring notes with me. So I know now what houses my life shows up in, where it's career, money, education, travel, all of that kind of impacts what you do. So let's say I go by my astrology. Then when Jonathan read my chart and he said, oh, travel is indicated for blah, blah, significant move, career moves, then I plan around it. That's how it guides my life. So I wouldn't flick in a magazine and think, oh, I'm a Sagittarius, therefore if they say I'm going to win the lottery today, I'm going to win the lottery today. No. it's combining all of that.
Okay.
And also takes into account your parents' birth sign. Interestingly, my chart reading considered my parents' birth signs and what was happening, and my children as well.
I wouldn't even know my parents' birth signs. My mum,
All I gave
maybe.
him was their date of birth. I didn't know what
My
time
dad,
they
I'd
were
never
born.
know. That's quite interesting.
Right. So astrology for me guides me in the same way that tarot will guide some. I use both tarot and astrology. I learned about the retrograde because the astrologers were on about it. I follow them on Twitter. I follow them on Instagram, and they're like, "Oh, the retrograde is happening. Don't make any decisions. You will regret it. It's a time of chaos and disruption." I don't know exactly what the retrograde means, but I'm learning.
Shitstorm. That's what it means.
It means a shit. Absolutely.
It's very, very interesting, ladies, I have to say. And as I say, I don't know anything about it. And yes, for me, astrology was really more to do with what, like, my mum would tell me based on what she's read. And I get that there's a lot more to it than that. But I guess there's a similarity is what I was trying to say.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, and it's something I don't know anything about. I've not really followed it. So it's interesting to hear somebody else's take on it and how you guys are guided by. I don't know what I'm guided by. What am I guided by?
Yeah, what are you guided by?
My mood.
Actually, you know, the funny thing is,
Are you, Karen? God, no. I think no. If I go by mood, I don't know where I'd be.
I am guided by, though, instinct.
Okay.
Yes, definitely gut feeling.
I'm guided by instinct.
Yeah,
and I would say often I'm right. You know, if I have a feeling about something, and I don't go with it, I usually regret it. I think we're instinctive. I'm quite in tune with myself. I like to think. So I think that's what drives me.
I tell you what he said that really struck out with me when we were looking at my moon sign. He said, you know, people normally say something happens when the moon is full and the madness comes out. Literally, that's why it's called lunacy, lunar.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so lunacy, it literally comes from the movement of the moon. Right. And I know when I used to work for the 111 service, when there was a full moon, we would brace ourselves because we would get all
that about midwives, babies born and stuff.
Yeah. So it intertwines in our lives more than we think. The good news is, ladies, love is indicated for me.
Woohoo!
And I'm not saying anything more. He actually told me the very month and year.
Wow.
I won't on the podcast. But yeah, everything I had thought I would do and what plans I were laying at the moment aligned with my astrology, which was beautiful. So that's coming from my instinct.
All right. Look at that. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
very interesting. Yeah. Could we have the link, Kay? Could you put a link for your people
for
you went
Jonathan?
To or follow? Yeah,
I will put a link to his website. You can book on the website and choose what you want, and then he contacts you by. So when I had my chart read, which took about an hour and a bit, and I was allowed to Zoom record it, so I can always go back to the reading to pick up specifics. But you can also book like a 3-month forecast.
I bet. Yeah.
Which I'm going to be doing because I am tired of Mercury and every other retrograde messing up my plans. I've had enough. So I'm going to do the forecast to get a guidance. Something's got to change, right?
Yeah, it has to be.
We have to stop firefighting.
I think that's life, though. I think for some people, their lives are busy. They can be not even, I wouldn't say my life is chaotic. I don't think it's chaotic. I think my life's busy, and I think that I have to work with the resources I've got, right? So I live away from my family, and I don't have, like I say, immediate family around me. I have got good friends, but that causes me to firefight because it means that I just don't have access to, like I say, people and
the support system.
Yeah, I would say so. So I've accepted that. Things for me are going to be less easy than maybe someone else who has got all that support. But
do you think though, because there's people I know with loads of support family, but they're struggling because a lot of their family members are ill, chronically ill, and they have to support them, and they're all local, so it makes it even more complex for them.
Well, so what I'm saying is they still don't have the resources, do they? They still don't have the support.
But yet the family all around them.
Well, but you can have family and they're not supportive. What I'm talking about is
they are supportive. I think that's somebody, their family are supportive, but I guess the only issue there is if you have lots of family members around you and then everyone gets older and then the senior family members all get ill and they're all together. And then the younger people have to then take care or feel that they should, they take care of them. And then they become highly stressed. So
that's kind of different. So that's a situation, isn't it? That's just a situation where they've become carers for whatever reason. What I mean is, so for example, you could have a family of, you've got mum, dad, 2 children, 2 incomes.
Oh yeah.
Blah blah blah. Right.
Yeah.
So that's a support system, isn't it? Right, in itself.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a single mum and you live away from, so I've moved away from where my family live, I'm miles away, 3 hours. It's myself and my daughter.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So therefore, I don't have access to. That's slightly different to the situation you're talking about. That's sort of circumstantial, where someone's ill, you're looking. You know what I mean? But
yeah. So, what you mean.
I think in life, you deal with what you've got. And you try to make it work. You try to be as resourceful as you can. I do, I have good friends. I know people who don't have supportive families because they don't get on. They've not spoken to mum for ages, whatever it is. But they've made that family with friends.
That's right.
So you just,
that's me.
Not because me as well.
Because they're literally in another country.
So you pull on the resources that you have.
Yeah.
And I think for me, like I think I've said this before, I do believe in resilience. I think that there is something about making the best of what you have and trying to be as resourceful as you can and counting one's blessings, which I do regularly. That's really, really important. Sometimes when I think, woe is me, I think about somebody else who's got far less than what I've got. And actually it just sort of brings to home, actually, I've got a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
And
You've got your health.
I've got my health. I've got a lot. So honestly, I could go on. My list is endless, right? So every day I just feel very, very blessed. Even though I'm firefighting, I understand that, that's just my life right now. It might get easier because my circumstances.
You never know.
You never know.
Around the corner. You never know.
Around the corner. So I'm hopeful.
Firefight. I have only ever known firefighting. I'm sick of it. And I actually can't accept that this is going to be the next season of my life. I don't think I can do it.
It may not. It may not.
Can't be. I'm changing it. Whatever it takes.
That's it.
I have to change it because I am worn out by it. Even though I have the support, like I'm with you right now. And I could say, I'm just down the road, Karen, and you opened your door to me.
Absolutely.
So I have the friends.
Yes.
But I also want the ordinary and the comfortable.
So what would cause you to not firefight?
What I need is what I thought happened this morning. I thought I won the Euro Millions.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
I logged into my app and it said one winner, £1 million for the millionaire's code. And I thought it was me because it just stayed on the screen and moved. That's what I need. And guys, in the moment before I actually called up the helpline to say, did I just win something? I planned how I was going to use that money.
Wow.
And let me tell you, my life flashed before me.
Oh, that's funny.
In a positive way for the first time. And I was like, thank you, ancestors, you're listening. This is what I needed.
So finances.
So finances literally would change everything. But I have to work so hard for it that I'm exhausted and I'm not enjoying the blessings like I could. I am abundant in other ways, but not.
Do you not think that's common, though? Do you not think that most people would like to win the Euro Millions and therefore, we are... Because to be fair, you are a professional woman, so you can command a reasonable salary. I mean, reasonable is discretionary. However, would you not say that that's kind of standard? Would you not say?
It is, because most of us are not going to win the lottery. Most of us will live by around our salaries until retirement. But I want more. I want to be comfortable so I can help others.
Sure.
I want to be comfortable so I don't sweat when I go Tesco. and I want to put my heating on all winter.
My heating's been on today, frankly.
I got my wood burner, thank God for that.
I'm not going to not have heat, I'm sorry.
No, I put the heating on. In the evening, I always put it on, as well as the burner. Because I just think,
most of us, as Sarah said, are grappling with, the cost of living crisis.
Yeah.
It is going to impact us, and that for me, it doesn't feel comfortable.
Yeah. So other than winning the lottery, what else can you do?
Change everything. So that what's within my power actually is to change how I live, where I live, and how I use the resources around me. And without going into another podcast,
Altogether.
that's the headlines. That's the plan. I'm going to change everything because that formula that has kept me firefighting is out. I'm 50 next year. I'm done.
Do you know what? Actually, I really do understand that because I've got a cousin who spoke very similarly to you and just said, you know, she was like, she's on a treadmill, professional woman, you know, she's qualified and, you know, has a good job, but just felt as if she was on a treadmill. And she just said, I want off of this. I want to live different.
Yeah.
And she spoke about, you know, living in Jamaica, where I guess the quality of life would be completely different.
Yeah.
And the way of life would be completely
different. The pace of life is so different,
isn't it?
Yeah.
So I completely understand that. And I guess that's another thing. As you get older, I think you do start thinking about, you know, how do I want my life to be?
Mm-hmm. You don't want to turn around when you're kind of like 85 and think this is not what I wanted. I'd hate that. Do it.
When I first came to England, Sarah, I remember getting on the bus in Croydon, where we lived at the time, and saw elderly women mostly with their shopping trolleys struggling to get on the bus. Yeah. And I was like, oh, dear God, this is
I don't want that. Yeah.
I will never be hunched over a trolley getting on a bus.
Oh, no, that's not UK. I can't see
that. Is not me. I'm out. So actually part of my thinking, Karen, you also changing my life, I'm going to simplify it. I can live really simply and happily. I just need to not be hypervigilant.
Yeah, sure.
And thrown off and disrupted every time Mercury retrogrades, because it's going to happen 3 times a year. So simplifying my life is a big part of that. And I can't live in this fast pace.
Oh, do you find that this
is too fast?
Yeah. Yeah. I have heard, like I say, lots of people, not just my cousin, I've had other people say the same thing. It's, you know, this country is quite particular, isn't it, in the way that we live. And I mean, so what really gets me, I know we're going slightly off topic, but things like parking fines, I'm like, what is that? You know, you've parked somewhere for 10 minutes longer than you were supposed to. Like, honestly, like that can account. It just seems as if the penalty far outweighs the crime itself.
Yeah, exactly. It does.
You know, it's just so disproportionate. You know, you could end up, I don't know, being clamped for like £500 because you parked somewhere on it. It's just things like that remind me that this country, I think they've got something wrong.
They have.
You know, that seems to not be right.
Parking fees at the hospital. The assumption is you've rushed your relatives to the hospital. Like, you're going to have money to pay for the parking when you're leaving. Can we behave ourselves?
Terrible.
It's terrible, isn't it? Just things like that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I lose faith in this country. And it sounds harsh to say, but, you know, those small things can add up.
Yeah.
It's like I went to London the other day and I didn't know whether my car was ULEZ. Compliant or not. It was. Had I not made that phone call that day,
fine. Get a fine.
If you drive through certain areas, I mean, it's a minefield because I don't live in London, so I go rarely. But when I do, you've just got to be mindful of all these things. And I just think all these things add to stresses.
Yes.
So many people are so because they're having to pay, I don't know how much it is to go through.
£12 something, I think.
12.
Yeah.
If your car isn't ULEZ, I don't know.
Yeah, because mine isn't. I don't have a ULEZ. Mine's diesel. So I had to pay. When did I last go to London? 6 months ago or something, and it was about £12 something. I think it was.
And what if you live in London and you've got to go that way to go to work? And that's
a nightmare.
Yeah, that is.
That's a nightmare if you live in London.
Change your car.
You have to.
I mean, I can see why they're doing it, and I'm not disputing that. Obviously, you know, we want cleaner air, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't. But how this impacts on people's day to day should be taken into some consideration.
I don't see why they do it, quite frankly. I tell you why. The carbon footprint for us going into London occasionally does not match the amount of private jets and helicopter flights that the rich are taking. So it's always the poor and the working class who must make the changes, who must even accommodate the planet. while those who are uber rich think, I'll do what I like. You don't do. And the multiplicity of rules for the working class and the poor. Please move.
Yeah.
I can't live. I want to go to a place where the government doesn't care about me. Like, literally, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Let me grow my little things and just live at peace. So yeah, that's where I'm headed.
I do, honestly. When we say it like that, I completely get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So to the music. Let's get into it. So Sarah, last week you were one song behind. So we're going to start with you. What's your fourth song in the soundtrack to your life?
So my fourth song is D'Angelo, How Does It Feel? This is one of my favourites. I still love this song now. I still love it. And the video.
The video.
The video is what made it. Let's be real. I mean, the man's voice is always sensational, but the video was that's what made it. That's
right.
It was not his voice.
When that video came out, I think every woman's jaw dropped, didn't it?
Every woman's jaw dropped. You can, whatever your type is, if you like, I'll say like a large ginger Scotsman, if that's your type, you still fancy D'Angelo in this video. You know, it's just everyone.
I got pregnant.
Everyone. There's no one who will go, oh, that's disgusting. No one.
So what period of your life does this represent, Sarah?
This is the kind of, I'd say about 23, around that kind of time. And it's because I had got my first kind of long-term relationship. Had I met my daughter's father? Probably around that kind of time. I can't even remember, God. Yeah. And I think I was kind of finding out who I was sensually. It was quite a sensual song, isn't it? It's a very sensual song, actually. Yes, I was going to say sexual, but it's not so much sexual. It's more sensual, I think.
Yeah.
It is sexual, but it's more sensual to me anyway. And I just love that song. And it kind of just reminds me of finding myself, my sensuality. And the video as well. I don't know what else to say about it, really, ladies. It just reminded me of finding myself. So, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful awakening.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Actually, sensually maturing.
It was, and that video, it's on my little playlist on YouTube, and I still watch it. I'll still watch it to this day. I think it's great. It's like
I think I might actually.
Yeah, have a watch of it, Karen. D'Angelo at his absolute best before he became what he became. Sadly, you know, but you don't have to look at what he became. Just keep looking at that video.
Just a video.
It'll scar you if you actually even look at it. No. Yeah, but yeah.
Thanks,
so yeah,
Sarah.
That's my.
So Karen, the middle phase of your life, the next 3 songs.
Right.
Tell us about them.
Okay, so when I was sort of late teens, I can't think exactly where I left off last week, but sort of late teens, I was friends with a girl who is now still my best friend. We've known each other for over 4 decades. My household was a very sort of reggae household. My dad, like I said before, loved a lot of reggae. But I didn't really like reggae. My thing was soul music. So this friend introduced me to a lot of soul music, a lot of gospel music. And a film came out called Penitentiary. Don't know if anyone remembers this film.
No.
You'd have to have a little watch. But it was just a really interesting film. I don't know, it just reminds me of, that kind of coming of age, really. So my friend and I would listen to music all the time. I was always at her house or she'd be at mine. And I remember one night we went out because her parents were a lot more lenient than mine. So we went out to some sort of club and she had brothers that she would go out with. And I wasn't allowed to be going out actually, but I went anyway. And I thought, I'm having such a good time. I'll just get cussed tomorrow, I'll take the punishment the next day. And this reminds me of that night, being out, where I wasn't supposed to be, but I just love this song. So it's called Special by Yarborough and Peoples. It's quite an obscure song. Not everyone would know it, but I just loved it. And it just reminds me of that time. Like I say, it's my coming of age.
Do you have some of the lyrics? I've not heard that song before.
I'll have to play it to you. I'll play it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm curious about it.
Yeah.
Not heard
What's the film?
And the film as well. So that's part of the soundtrack.
Is it? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Ah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I will do. I will do. I'll have a look. So I ended last week in my mid-20s, I would say, when I said, Jill Scott, you don't know about love, I knew nothing. I then went through a whole period of evolution. And the song that starts off this is Man in the Mirror, Michael Jackson.
Oh, yes, classic.
I became so consciously aware of the world around me. I'm starting with the woman in the mirror.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, change her ways, because even then I felt you can't just live in a bubble of church. I was very sheltered as a child, and I felt like I hadn't even been in the world. And then I was in England, and saw the world through a whole new lens. So I thought, I'm gonna have to change something. I do have to have a social conscience. It can't just be what I want to do. Doesn't matter who it affects. Yeah. If you want to make the world a better place. Well, I had my son at 26. God, yes.
Yeah.
Because I felt fear like I've never known it. That, will he be okay? What if I just lived in a state of anxiety for him because I brought him into this world and I don't like the state of the world.
Sure.
It didn't help I was living in Croydon at the time, and crime was on the rise, and I felt frightened pushing my pram down the road. What if someone attacks me? Can I defend him? And then I thought, right, you're in this world, you're going to have to do something too. So what are you going to do about it? So what I did was wrong. I moved to Kent. but with a much more social conscience.
Right.
Like, change what I could, see where I could make a difference with the skills I had at the time, which they weren't therapy, but they were okay. I had leadership skills, I had support skills, I considered the PTA. Ladies, have any of you ever sat on the PTA?
No.
For your schools?
No.
I couldn't get on with it.
I didn't actually, because I was always working.
Yeah.
And I volunteered a lot. I did a lot of volunteering when they had like summer fairs, Christmas fairs. But I have to say I wasn't part of the PTA, to be honest.
Yeah, for me, that didn't feel like a good fit. Like, that's where I could make a change. So, but it was the beginning of my evolution. So Man in the Mirror. Chewed. Right, now, Sarah, over to you. Your fifth song.
Yeah, so this song is Shaka Khan, I Feel For You. It's one of my absolute favourites. I was just looking at the video I posted when we posted it in the show notes. But yeah, I love this. This song reminds me of my Auntie Mary. So when I first met my Auntie Mary, that was about, goodness me, God, wow, my daughter's like a baby. So she's 9 now. We're talking about maybe 8 years ago. That's when it reminds me of her. And that's when I met her, because she knew Chaka Khan or something. She's talking about her.
Wow.
And the reason I like this song is because I find it so uplifting. I could be in the crappiest mood ever. I could feel like the world is falling to pieces. If you play that song, you are going to feel uplifted. You couldn't listen. Yeah, you couldn't listen to that. You couldn't listen to that and feel crap. I don't think it's possible for a human to. The video is corny, it's dated, it's old, but I really love that song from Shaka Khan. It's so uplifting, and it reminds me of meeting my auntie for the first time, going over to Switzerland and kind of building that relationship. And I always remember talking about saying, because my auntie's a professional jazz and blues artist. She's done it since she was 16. She's very well known in Europe. Wonderful. So she knows these people, and she said, she was really cool, and they're all the same age. It's that kind of 60 something people in the music industry. But yeah, I love that song, and I just feel it really uplifts me. So if I'm feeling crap, that's the one to listen to. So
yeah, I love the list. Song.
I don't actually know that song.
Really?
Not I Feel For You.
Do you not? If you heard it, you might. It's quite
You would do. You heard it.
Yeah, it's quite popular.
Can you hum a bar or two?
I think I love you.
Yeah. Okay, before we get copyright issues, but yeah. Yes. That one. Oh yeah, you're right, Sarah. Look, I'm smiling already.
Yeah, there you go. You play it really loudly. I'll play it really loudly on my Alexa, and I just feel so good. That song is. I keep thinking music's not made like this anymore, like an old granny, but it's really good. I love it. So yeah, Shaka Khan, I Feel For You. It's my next song.
Good choice.
Fantastic.
Like it. Okay, so yes, right. So moving on, fast forward a few years. So I moved to London, and a band called Jodeci came out, and I just fell in love with Jodeci. Like, I just love them.
Yes.
I can't remember if I liked Delvin or was it the other one? I can't remember.
I want both.
Yeah, fair enough. But I just love Jodeci. It's just that whole, I don't know, what is that? 90s, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it just reminds me of a whole period in my life where I was out. Music was such a big part of my, what I did with my friends, and I just love them. This particular song is called "I'm Still Waiting." It's on, I think it was their debut album, I think. And yeah, "Forever My Lady," and it reminds me of when I went to the States. I went to New York on holiday on my own. I went to stay with family, and I went to see them in concert.
Oh, wonderful.
And I was so
amazing.
when you love a band, I was not a groupie, but I loved this band. And so seeing them live in New York, I think they were from Inglewood, and they performed, like I say, when I was on holiday, and they just blew me away. They were amazing. I just loved it. So yeah, that song, stays
I'm
with
jealous.
me.
You saw Jodeci live.
That's so cool.
And I have to say, so I know R. Kelly, it's really, really unfortunate, right? It's so sad that he's obviously been convicted, and it's just awful. His crimes are, and it's so sad because around that time, I loved R. Kelly.
So did I.
I loved his music. They kind of went out at the same sort of time. And I met R. Kelly.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did he give you creepy vibes?
I kissed him.
Where? Where did you kiss him? Not where the country. Where on his body?
It was just like a peck on the lips. Yeah.
Really?
And the thing is, I know it's awful because obviously he's a criminal, and it's so sad. But at the time, I was in awe of him. He was, I can see. I mean, I was
a lot of people were, Karen. That's how they ended up.
This is
how they ended up, sadly.
And I can see that. I totally see that now because he was very charming. He was lovely. Like I say, I loved his music. So meeting him in person for me was really, really special. And he was very nice.
But how did the kiss come about?
Because so it was like a private party.
Okay.
So I was invited by my friend. She can get in anywhere, honestly, that friend. And so we were just chatting. We were just talking, and he was really nice. And I, just kind of vibing. And then he invited us to come to something else, like another room. But I wasn't on my own. I was with friends. But I could see how it could have escalated. I said no.
Yeah.
Right.
But I could see, and then I was thinking, oh my gosh, like now in hindsight, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he could have been a predator, but well, he obviously was. He is.
Yeah.
But I would, like I say, I wasn't underage. I was of age. And like I say, it went no further than that. But yeah, it's so sad that. It's just really sad that he did that to so many girls who were underage. It's disgusting. It's awful, and it's really, really sad. But anyway, that's my.
What a life you've lived. Sarah, did you know this?
No, I didn't know this. No, I never knew.
Jodeci
Well, Karen. You've lived.
More to Karen than meets the eye, isn't there?
There absolutely is. I love it. So, Sarah, when you mentioned your song, I'm thinking we're all smiling, singing that line. So it's still very, very uplifting.
Yeah.
The song after My Man in the Mirror, I'm thinking, but actually, I feel like I've gone full circle, where I'm back again saying, I'm going to make a change. Yeah, going to make a change, blah, blah, blah. So that's still Man in the Mirror. But what I found was when I decided to make the change, it wasn't easy. No. It was actually very, very difficult. So the song that captures about 10 years of my life Bujabantan, it's not an easy road. And even now, I have to bop that when I'm in a bad mood.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, who feels it knows.
Put it on loud.
Put it on loud. So, well, I'm in love with Buju. You can get it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm so in love with him. But yeah, not an easy road. Yeah, I would say that's my 30s.
Oh, wow.
Gave me a lot of hope.
Mm-hmm.
Gave me a lot of confidence that I can make the change I wanted, but it wouldn't be easy. And I thought, if he's an artist singing, you see the glitter and the glamour and you think it's a better rose. And this is a man with money.
Yeah.
And any amount of woman he could get.
Yeah.
And he probably did have. I would have kissed him. And maybe close the door. I don't know. But yeah, that song is still relevant now when it gets difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, Buju. Sarah, song number 7.
Okay, so I couldn't actually find this song for some reason for the links to put below. If it's sorted copyright, I just couldn't find it. But anyway, I put a couple of other songs. So the next 2 songs, or the last 2 songs I'm going to talk about this evening, are both from Giggs. I love Giggs. I'm a massive fan of Giggs. This particular song is from his Walk in the Park album, entitled Walk in the Park. And when I was actually looking, and I was realizing that album came out 13 years ago. So I was like, oh my God, I hadn't even had my daughter. But for me, it wasn't so much about one particular song on that album, but I felt like that album itself, Walk in the Park, Giggs' first, I know he had mixtapes and stuff, but first known album commercially, I guess. For me, I don't know. I was living with my partner at the time, who was actually end up being my daughter's father, but I was actually living really near Peckham Rye Park. And I remember I used to go running. I used to do 5K runs. And even then I was like, oh, it's not long enough, or I'm not doing it quick enough. Like, I would be really impressed. Yeah, really impressed if I was doing that now myself. But, you know. So anyway, that time I was running through the park, playing that album. And anyone that loves Giggs will love that original Walk in the Park. That album is raw, unedited, probably very unpolitically correct, you know, swearing, N-words, the lot. But I loved it. And I think I loved it because it was raw, and it kind of made me feel like I could just be myself. At that point, I didn't have children. I stepped into myself. So I wasn't with the D'Angelo kind of sensuality thing. For me, when I listen to Giggs, I feel it kind of boosts me, but in a different way than Shaka Khan. You know? How do I explain it? It boosts me, and what I should have put on here, and I will post it now, it boosts me. So Walk in the Park by Giggs, to me, is similar to Madonna Like a Virgin. I love that. It's cheesy as hell, but I love it. It really gives me a like voomp. Pussycat Dolls, don't you? I'm on a roll now. My daughter loves that song, so she absolutely loves that Pussycat Dolls.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love those. That I think it's the confidence. So it's the confidence of Giggs. It's the confidence, I guess, of Madonna. It's the confidence of the Pussycat Dolls, and those 3 artists just lift me. Sometimes if I feel like I'm lacking a bit of self-confidence, that's when I probably would turn to Giggs. Yeah, so I haven't posted the Walk in the Park album, but that's what I wanted to speak about here. I've posted a couple of other songs from Giggs that I just love. I love most of his stuff, but I think for me, it's not so much the song, it's the way that the artist makes me feel. And plus I like Giggs. He seems real, you know? Yeah, he seems real. So I absolutely love that album, and that's always going to be one of my favorites.
Sarah, in terms of the beat, where does it vibrate in your body?
Interesting. I'd say in the belly, actually. And say there's a lot of emotion held there, isn't it? I'd say in the belly. I'd say Shaka Khan is in the chest cavity, the heart. Right. But Giggs is in the belly, and it just drives me, and it makes me feel like there is self-confidence there. I don't listen to Giggs all the time, but I think I do listen to gigs when I need that self-confidence boost for some reason. But yeah,
I'm going to listen. It sounds very raw and primal, and yeah,
Very.
that's where you feel it too.
very.
There's
It is.
sometimes the beat lands in your body and your whole being vibrates with it.
It's great. Gigs is great for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely great for that. But yeah, the Walk in the Park album, that is solid. So some of that stuff is so good. But when you look at YouTube, it's like some grainy video with just like 20 guys jumping around in like balaclavas or something. But just try and not look at that, just to listen to it. Or
I put it on my Spotify list that way I don't have the visual.
Yeah,
just
you
the
don't need the
audio.
visuals. Doesn't know much about that. But it's so good. And then when you look at how far Giggs has come as an artist, that in itself I could chat about for days, you know. From MySpace and yeah. Anyway, yeah, I love. I love that
Have you met or
album.
kissed him too?
Would I have kissed him?
Have you met him or kissed him? Just
No,
checking.
I haven't met him or kissed him. But when I was working in kids company, I remember I used to get the bus through Peckham or something. And I'd be checking my MySpace, you know, in those kind of days.
Oh, God. Back in the day.
And I remember his brother, his brother, one step down from him. He's also in music. His brother, he's got two brothers, I think, but one of them, I remember, messaged me and said some really corny shit like, "Oh, don't I know you from somewhere?" No, you don't. But I thought, had I said yes, you do, then my life could have been totally different again. You know what I mean? It's weird, isn't it? There's kind of little doors, like sliding doors, like that film. You know, how your life can just change, the different paths you take.
Yeah.
But then I also believe, and I'm going off now, that people, that there's different dimensions. People are, you know, there is a dimension where, I don't know, where Kay's in Jamaica now, sitting on her porch, you know, sipping a strong drink, and then there's the other dimension when she's still in Croydon. You know, there's all different, all happening simultaneously. So yeah, I didn't kiss Giggs. No, no, I didn't kiss Giggs. I'll leave it at that. Moving
I
on.
didn't kiss anyone either, so Karen, you win.
That's just one story. Oh.
So the music is telling all. Bring it on. Your last track for tonight. Track number 7, it would be.
So my next track is slightly different from the others in that it is Jacure. It's 2 Years of Love.
Yeah.
And this song reminds me a lot of my husband, I have to say, my ex-husband. Right. So we met in Jamaica. I met him at a beach party. And he is very good friends with Jacure. They went to school together.
Nice.
And so he played a lot of that music. And I just fell in love with it. I just love his voice.
Yeah.
Don't know, just the vibe. And it's, just one of those songs that really resonate with me. Yeah. Happy memories of when I was married, I think. So, yeah, that particular song reminds me of that time.
It's very nice to hold on to the good memories.
Oh, definitely. I think, you know, it's really important to have good memories and celebrate good times. Like I say, I think for me, happiness is fleeting. No one's happy all the time. Well,
no, you're right.
Not
they're medicated.
Yeah.
I need to up mine. But yeah, so I think about happy times, and I try to hold on to happy times. And there's nothing wrong with that because, you know, we're not together now, but we were at one stage and he was really significant in my life. He gave me 2 amazing children. So yeah, I have, you know, good memories of that time as well. Yeah, so Jackie, 2 Your Arms of Love, a really, really nice one. I love that song.
I'll be listening to that as well. My commute home is going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
Spotify will think I've gone mad because of the eclectic song collection. So my last song for the night, ladies, track number 7. I don't know if you know it, but it's a really popular song, and it's a song that lifts me on every sensory level. The vocals are impeccable. The lyrics are deep. The music, it, like I said, my whole being comes alive. It's like I'm being lit up. Lean on Me, Kirk Franklin and Crystal Lewis.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
That's, my 30s was when I first discovered the power of having a sister circle, a group of women who literally ride for you, celebrate you, uphold you. It was a difficult time. I healed in this group of women, and I had to learn to lean on someone else. I was so independent, so self-reliant, and the rug was pulled from underneath me in my 30s, including the death of my sister. And that's when I really had to say, I need help.
Deep,
Yeah, and that song, I remember, my God, it's on repeat. And so even now when I hear it, I stop everything I'm doing.
I love that song.
And I have to listen to it. What a song.
That is
serious. Oh, my God. Yeah. That Kirk Franklin is a maestro anyway, for me, musically. He's a genius. He's gifted, but that song. And Crystal Lewis's vocals, when I first heard the song, I thought, who is she? She's white? I couldn't believe a white woman was this. Oh my God. Yeah. Even now I hear it and I just tingle. So yeah, the middle part of my life was probably where the richest music is, I would say.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I have the circle.
Yeah. I think it's nice that you share that and the importance of having that kind of sister circle. I think it's really important for women to have that, and that song links to that. When you were talking about really pivotal songs, actually, one more song that pops into my head was Tupac, Changes. I thought, oh yes, that one as well.
I love that song.
Really?
Yeah, he loves rap anyway, but that song, oh yeah.
It's interesting. For me, my songs are not so much about, sometimes they're about the lyric, but it's more what I was doing at the time. So yeah, I've noticed that for both of you, you sort of talk about how impactful the lyrics were or the artists. And I think, yeah, I've kind of gone a slightly different route in that mine reminds me of a time in my life, like particular, what I was doing and, what I was thinking and what was going on for me. So yeah, it's just interesting to see how we've all come at this from different sort of...
It's interesting. There's so many interesting songs. I was thinking how Snoop Dogg, Gin and Juice. Oh my gosh. I love that era. It's my age, isn't it now?
Yeah.
But I really like Snoop Dogg as well. And in fact, he's still with his wife after all the everything.
I love that.
I love them as a couple.
He smokes his weed every day and feels good.
Yeah. And she just loves him into the end of the earth.
Yeah. Yeah. And they've come through, they've gone through a lot. I mean,
they have as a couple. She's never leaving that man. Tell me.
No, she's not.
But at the same time, if he took the piss out of her, he wouldn't do it again. Put that away.
Exactly.
She's no fool.
Yeah, Karen was saying earlier before we started recording how difficult it was to pick the songs because there's so many.
Honestly,
so many of them. Lists and lists, aren't there?
Trying to say 10 is just not enough.
I think that's why I approached it from more a meaning perspective. Because if it was songs that remind me of them, Boyz II Men would be in there.
Yeah.
What I was doing in high school when they hit End of the Road, I was playing in every taxi on the way to school because Jamaica you can. The whole album was just rinsed on repeat, and it was such a time of lovers and loving.
Yeah, no, I love that album.
Very significant. Yeah. First kisses, first sexual experience, first independence. What? Boyz II Men was the lick. Yeah. So, first love. So yeah, the whole album could have gone in there for me.
I think for me, like songs are, I love the lyrics of songs. I love the way that the person sings the song. I do like songs where the vocals are on point.
Oh, yes.
I'm quite into vocals, and I think all of the songs I've chosen, I just love vocals. So for that reason, I probably haven't got any hip hop or anything like that in there because I've kind of gone for sort of, melodic kind of.
You go for stuff like there's some songs like I like Tidra Moses as well.
I saw her live actually.
Did you?
Yeah, she's good.
I love that, but for me, it's just the most delicious song. Is it Only You? Is it called Tidra Moses Only You? I think it is, and it is the most beautiful. Do I love Tidra Moses? Not massively as an artist, but that song is just like, it's such a beautiful song that I just have it at my wedding. It's just
Yeah.
stunning.
Yeah.
You know?
I know you. Yeah, sure.
It's just all about love and just love. It's just 100% love to me, that song.
Yeah.
Just the most delicious, perfect feeling of love encapsulated in the song. But it doesn't I don't think about it as particularly deep meaning to me. It just makes me feel the element of love.
Sure.
Is she a particularly talented artist? I mean, I like that. Again, I like that song. I don't think she's no Whitney Houston here,
No.
you know, but it's just that song. I mean, you both of you guys, do you know which one I'm talking about?
I don't think I know that. So I do know TJ Moses, but I don't know if I know. I'd have to play that particular song.
I think you like it. I think you like it because I've had it playing around my house when you've come and you've said, "Oh, I like that."
I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm gonna learn.
Because you like a bit of Neon Soul, don't you?
Yes, I love a bit of that. A bit of that and a bit of strong drink, and and my man there, and yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Drink. Sarah.
Yeah, it just that yeah.
I have to ask you, because now you've just tweaked something in my mind there.
Okay.
What is the one voice that you hear that sends shivers down your spine? No matter what they're singing, we're not talking about the voice. I'll start. Graham Smallgood. He can make me forget myself.
Oh, I know. Chuckle Brothers.
Who's?
Chuckle Brothers.
Chuckle Brothers. I don't know.
Okay. You don't know them. The audience will know them.
Chuckle Brothers. That's
the
a thing.
Chuckle. So you remember the Chuckle Brothers?
They were the ones who did the 11911 thing advert, but I didn't know them before.
I'm going to show you a quick picture of them so you can see. Remember them?
Yeah, I remember them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had song. I think Chuckle Brothers probably called Chuckle or some crap.
A song? Oh my
I didn't know they sing.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm probably making that up. I'm sure they had a hit single. Like Timmy Mallet or something. Oh, yuck.
So you love their voice?
Their voices, they were so weird. I think it was their voices. They were always just weird little men. So no. So yeah, them.
That's difficult, but off the cuff, I'm just going to say Whitney Houston.
Oh, yes.
I mean, there are more, but Whitney just blew me away. I mean, her voice was just...
Yeah.
I'd recognise
Whitney was the best. Whitney was the absolute best. Absolute best.
I loved, in terms of voices, I mean, she was sensational.
Oh, I thought you meant the most disgusting voices ever. No, I don't love the Chuckle Brothers. I thought you meant the worst ever.
No, the voice that sends shivers down your spine.
Oh, no, shivers down my spine. I'm so grossed out by them, I thought you meant.
Right. No.
Hey, rewind. Scrap that.
No, the voice that, oh my God, it
Whitney.
Mesmerizes you.
Yeah.
That's Whitney or Mariah in her best
Mariah.
Mariah.
I used to love Mariah when she just came, she first came out.
Yeah, Mariah, back in the day.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'd say technically I've not seen anyone like Whitney.
No way. No, Chuckle Brothers, please scrap that, people. I don't love the Chuckle Brothers. That was the worst ever voice I could think of.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
That completely makes sense.
Honestly, if I told you that I loved them, wouldn't you think that I had gone bonkers, yeah?
Yes. We were looking at you. Yeah. It was like funny, Sarah.
Yeah.
No.
So, ladies, we have come to the end of part 2. Probably next week we'll have part 3. We'll finish off the soundtrack to our lives. So, Karen, this week it's over to you.
Right. So, thank you so much for listening. You can catch us at Beautifully Melanated Podcast at gmail.com. We are also on Instagram at Beautifully Melanated Podcast. And you can find a link to our new YouTube channel. How exciting. So yes, if you have a look at our Insta account, you will see that there is a link to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe.
Please subscribe.
Please do.
The songs that we mentioned in a podcast will go up in the YouTube channel on the episodes. So if you want to listen to them and you don't want to go searching, they will be on our YouTube channel when the episodes go up. So please head on over, subscribe, like, and meet us.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Have a good week.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, beautifully.